welcome back to Taking in the Outdoors. Hey, this episode, our topic is cabins. Some people are going to say cabins. What's that got to do with taking in the outdoors? Well, let's talk about it, and let's get right to it. Okay, folks, here we go. Well, folks, let's talk cabins. Well, I'll tell you what. If we're really wanting to take in the outdoors, but we're just not up to sleeping on the ground, I'll tell you what, there's an alternative. Find yourself a rustic cottage or cabin out there somewhere that you can rent for a long weekend or for a week. You can't beat it. Now, this picture that you're seeing is a cottage that I've rented a few times now. It's it's not big. It's a small cottage, but it's one big room. And it's got one tiny little wall in the front end of the cabin that kind of separates the kitchen area away from the rest of the room. But otherwise, it's just wide open, and it's got a beautiful view of the lake. It's only about 50 feet from the lakefront, and it has a dock that comes with the cottage. Now, this cottage costs $550 a week for a full week. I tell you, you can't beat that. You come in on a Sunday and you leave on a Sunday. You can't beat a full week there. Now, the nice thing about it and how you take in the outdoors is, hey, you can sit right by those nice windows, look out over the lake, have the windows wide open because they're screened, and just take in all the noises, the fresh air, watch the lake. You can't beat it. Now, a cottage like this, all over the country, there are cottages available. You have to do a little research. And I'll tell you what, to rent a little old cabin like this and get away and just have the great outdoors right outside your front door, you can't beat it. You can't beat it. Now, this next cabin I'm going to talk about is a large cabin. Now, this cabin actually has 2 bedrooms on the upper floor. It has a huge main floor that is at lake level. Now, this cottage, I call it a cottage, but it's as large as a house. This will run you about $900 a week, a cottage like this, but it's so beautiful. It's got its own private dock. You walk out that front door and you go right to the dock is only about maybe 20 feet away, and you walk right out on your own private dock. You can have a boat there. It sits in a protective cove on a large lake. It sleeps up to 8 people. Now, we've stayed in this as a family with 6 of us, and loved every minute. It's got a beautiful, all these cottages have beautiful fireplaces in them, and they're rustic. These are rustic cottages. They're made out of log and stone, and they have electricity. They have gas stoves. Some of them have ovens. Otherwise, there's no other amenities inside the cabin. You have to use vault toilets that are scattered throughout the resort where these cabins are located, and that's really, if you want to really take in the outdoors, that's the way you want it. You want to be able to heat with wood on those cool nights, and you don't want to have everything to your beck and call. One thing each cottage has is a nice refrigerator with a small freezer, so you can keep your perishables. But otherwise, they are so rustic. The only running water in these cottages is fresh artesian well water, and it's cold. There's no hot water heaters whatsoever. But they're so remote and so comfortable, and you can just walk right out the door, and boom, you're taken in the outdoors. This cottage that I'm showing you right now, actually in 1947, my mother and father spent their honeymoon in that cottage. Now, I have stayed in this cottage several times over the years, and this is one of my favorites. It's only 10 feet from the water's edge, as you can see. It's got that beautiful stand of birch right out front, and all the windows, and that cabin is facing due north, and you can sit in that front room of that little cottage. The whole cottage is stone. It's all built out of stone, and you can sit in that front porch area, and that's also the kitchen area. You can watch every sunset. You can watch the storms go by. You can watch people coming and going out on the lake, or you can just throw a chair out in the front and sit there all day and fish right off of the what I consider the front porch of your cabin. Nothing like it. Nothing like it. It is so unusual to stay in a cottage like that is so semi-primitive and yet so comfortable. And the outdoors is literally in your lap. And you can just go out there, spend a long weekend or a full week, and just take it in. Take it in. Excuse me. I have spent many a time fishing off the front of this cabin and caught our dinner. So it's pretty nice when your fresh fish for dinner is just right outside your front door. You can't beat that. You can't. You just can't. So this is the type of cabin that they're not that easy to find. This cottage costs about $600 for a week. So it's just shy of $100 a day for that cottage. Well worth the experience. Now this cabin. Now my ex-wife and I and my oldest grandson, we had taken a full 2-week vacation one summer, and we stayed in this cottage. This is another one right on the water's edge. It's absolutely beautiful. All the windows around the front of it. And again, this is another cottage. All these cottages, except the very large one, are all one big room. And this cottage had a queen-size bed, and then a twin bed in it, and it had like a hide-a-bed. So you could sleep up to 4 people in it very comfortably. But again, you could take your furniture, your lawn furniture, take it right to the water's edge, because the water was only about 25 feet off the front of that cottage. Now you can't imagine what it would be like to have all of that nature just right outside your front door. You can't beat it. You can't beat it. And you'll take in so much of the outdoors. It sticks with you and it lasts in your memories forever. So I want to encourage folks. Those are just some of the cottages that Sty has stayed in over the years, and I'd like to encourage all of you, if you have the opportunity, get out there, enjoy the outdoors, and if you need to, rent a cabin. You can't beat it. You cannot beat it. It's worth putting a little savings aside and stepping out staying in a cottage for a long weekend or a full week and just take in the outdoors. The peace, the quiet, you can't imagine. So I hope to see you all out there. Until the next episode, you all have a very, very nice day. Bye-bye.